If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Seattle, Washington, subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so that you will be the first to know about the current market in Seattle, Washington. My name is Sheila Duncan. We get calls and emails every day from people just like you wanting help with making the move to Seattle, Washington, and we absolutely love it. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text so that we could help you make the smooth move to Seattle, Washington. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living in Federal Way, Washington. Federal Way, Washington is a suburb of Seattle. It's about 25 minutes south of Seattle on I-5. Federal Way is centrally located in between like anything that you want to get to. There's lots of opportunity in Federal Way. It's a good place to raise a family. And one of the major benefits of Federal Way is there is no state tax. So a person could have a lot more disposable income because they don't have to pay that state tax. So that is a plus for Federal Way. Federal Way is known for its beautiful scenery, its beautiful like Puget Sound views. All of the evergreen trees are everywhere, like they are everywhere. It is just absolutely magnificent. And it's surrounded by the Puget Sound. Federal Way has like Dumas Bay, which is over Dumas Bay is like another, it overlooks the Puget Sound, and it is absolutely beautiful. Homes are situated there, and it kind of looks like you're in Italy because of the way the homes are situated, and the sunset is absolutely beautiful. Now, another pro for Federal Way is it's very diverse. It's a very diverse community, so it's like a melting pot. Everybody lives with everybody, so which is a good thing. It's very diverse. And another good thing about Federal Way is the employment. Like there's a lot of major companies here in Federal Way. There's Weyerhaeuser. There's Multi-Care here in Federal Way, and then we also have World Vision, and World Vision services people all over the world in need, and that is a great thing. We have the culture. There's like lots of cultural attractions here in Federal Way. Like the scenery, like I said, is very good. We have different parks here in Federal Way. We have Dash Point National Park, which is a large park on many acres where people go and they camp. You can walk trails, you can fish, you can crab, things like that. I talked about the major employers. The retail here in Federal Way is excellent. We have Costco, we have Target, we have Home Depot, Lowe's. Like the job market here is really good. Like I said, the larger companies, Weyerhaeuser and World Vision and Multi-Care. A pro for Federal Way is affordable housing. That is so important because it's so expensive to live already. So Federal Way is more affordable than living in Seattle because the average house price here in Federal Way starts about $550,000, whereas in Seattle the average housing price is about $780,000 for the same house. So it's very affordable, it's family oriented, it's very diverse. Major companies are here, lots of walking trails, lots of hiking trails. You have views of the sound all around. There are more than 1,200 acre parks in Federal Way. Steel Lake Celebration Park, where you can picnic, your kids can ride bikes, or you can just walk the trails. Different things to do in Celebration Park. I've talked about like the major companies in Federal Way, and the schools are great. I know that I mentioned that too. The schools are great. And then another thing is sometimes it's hard for transportation. So whether you have a car or you don't have a car, or you might have a car and you just might want to take the transit. We have transit here, so it's easier to get on the buses or the trains and get to Seattle, get to like surrounding areas. So that part is great. So I think, those are like the major things here in Federal Way. The nightlife is good. The air is crisp, very clean, very green. You would really love it here in Federal Way. And one of the pros too is you have the nightlife. You have like things to do here. If you don't want to be like in a very large city like Federal Way, then Federal Way is not too small, but it's not too big. So those are great things about living in Federal Way. The crime is not bad in Federal Way either. So now we're going to talk about the cons. The cons of living in Federal Way is the traffic. The traffic close to any interstate is going to be very congested. So basically in Federal Way, going to Seattle or any place in between going north from about 5:30 in the morning until about maybe 9:30, going north is going to be very congested. And so if you have some place to go or you have a doctor's appointment or things like that, you might want to leave early because it's very congested, because everybody's going the same way. Now, in the morning going south, you can go right through because there's hardly any traffic. But then in the afternoon, it's just the opposite. Going south, you have to get there before 3. So it's congested from about 3 until about, I would say like 6 o'clock. And then after that, it should be okay. The weekends are okay in Federal Way. So yeah, those are the only cons in my opinion. One more con. The major con in Federal Way is the weather. The weather is from October until about the end of March, the beginning of April. It's rainy, it's dreary, it's cold, it's overcast, and it's just kind of ugly out. But that is like the downside of living in the Northwest. And so if you could get through the winter season, which is October until about the end of March, April, then you're okay. And then from there, it's just perfect weather. So I think for most people, it's probably the weather and probably the traffic. But other than that, it's an exceptional place to live. And again, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email so that we can help you make the smooth move to Seattle, Washington. And again, I hope to see you around town.